In today's video, I'll be playing Project Zomboid as a man with a laundry list of problems. Surviving the zombie apocalypse is hard at the best of times. But today, we're going to do it while suffering from almost everything one man can possibly have wrong with him. Just like in all of his other videos, Jim Oldman has found himself in yet another difficult situation. For the 87th time, he's woken up to the sights and sounds of the zombie apocalypse. Only this time, he's got a couple more problems than usual. This is a morbidly obese, weak, out of shape, and asthmatic man who loves to sleep and hates the outdoors. He's the reason he can't have nice things, and the world frowns upon him in many ways. And somehow, despite being a lazy slob who lives in his own filth, I think Jim shit himself. He's somehow developed a case of germophobia, and to help cope and forget the fact that he's a borderline illiterate Irishman with bulimia, he's taken to smoking. Now he needs to survive long enough to work off the extra weight and become something greater. A man who is average. Jim spawned in a motel on the foggiest day Knox County had to offer. Now, as you can see, Project Zomboid runs really well when you have a lot of mods installed. The evolving traits and dynamic body shape mod work in tandem to create the glorious creature you see in front of you. Behold a man doing his best impression of Boogie 2988. Tip off! Now, spawning here was actually the worst thing that could have happened to poor Jim because this hotel has pillows and little else. But it wasn't all bad. Jim was lucky enough to discover the ultimate fashion statement. Seriously though, this place was ass. The trash piles outside had better loot than the entire building. I set the loot spawns for everything to extremely rare, and I gave Jim unlucky. If you think I set him up for failure, you're right. Jim's first challenge? Murder some undead construction workers and steal their clothes. Since I have problems, I decided it wasn't enough to make Jim suck and make all of the loot hard to find. I also needed 1 in 10 zombies to be sprinters. That won't be a problem later at any point. Now armed with pants, a watch, and a yellow vest, Jim was ready to delve further into the construction site. The foreman was there to give Jim a sweet man purse. The supervisor was so jealous of Jim's new accessory that he was shoulder checking the door just to get his hands on Jim's sack. But all of this carnage was building towards something great. The Gigamart across the street. Luckily, it wasn't guarded by a ton of zombies. Unluckily, anything higher than 3 is a big number to Jim in his current state, especially since he hadn't found a single weapon yet. Despite that, I have confidence in Jim's abilities. He's been training his whole life for this moment, which just makes his current status all the more depressing. A cursory glance through the vehicles showed a distinct lack of weapons or car keys. If I wanted to take the Gigamart, I'd have to peel layer after layer of the dead away from its doors. And considering 8 zombies was enough to wind Jim, I was a bit doubtful about his odds. Jim's luck did turn around though. The news van had a key, the emergency broadcast signal, and a working battery. It also had 0 gas because there's no justice in this world, and fate itself conspires against me. Prick. The nearby truck had some gas, which I promptly stuffed into my water bottles. Jim doesn't need water where we're going. My man just needs to level his skills and get his wheels working. And who cared if I didn't have a weapon? When I plowed through that homeless encampment with my Ford Fiesta, I was charged with assault with a deadly weapon. Ergo, vis-a-vis, my news van is a weapon. It's also a sweet donut maker, and it's practically indestructible. Trust me. It likes it when I do this, don't worry about it. I raised my insurance rates with this one weird trick. Insurance agents hate me. Now, you might be thinking, Dan, wouldn't it have been smarter to just take the van and drive somewhere less crowded? Yes. Yes, it would have been. But look, we all make mistakes. That was so far back in the past. Don't dwell on it. Look forward to the future and try to focus on the positives in life. For example, Jim is getting exercise for the first time in years. And I learned something neat about this game. Fighting 2 sprinters without a weapon and a strength of 0 is apparently about impossible. Jim, I think it's time to head back inside for a moment and take a break. You've got like 8 moodles, and that's way too many. I'm gonna be real, I have no idea why I did that. I guess I just felt too safe in the hotel. Gotta spice things up, you know? I hate myself. Besides, my car still works. Oh, that's not good. Okay, Operation Get Your Ass Inside the Grocery Store is a go. Fighting them in the wide open space of the parking lot was too dangerous. My only option? Confine myself in a cramped space with several points of entry. You've got them right where you want them, Jim. Try not to worry about those moodles. In a few seconds, they're not gonna matter. Just have a big sippy of water and think about the very few things Linda let you keep in the divorce. Behold an exercise in futility. Somehow, Jim is still alive, and he's doing his best. God love him. Don't worry, Jim. That was just a nightmare. An eerie, realistic, traumatizing, uncomfortable, unforgettable nightmare. Nothing bad happened. Just relax and enjoy your time in your house. Look, you've got a TV, a watch, a double-barrel shotgun that you'll absolutely die if you fire. Look at my man here with his fedora and his firearm. A true American legend if I've ever seen one. You look like a dead rising psycho, Jim. Because you probably are one. We're just gonna put this baby right here for later. You can use it when you stop being pathetic. I know the lack of food in your kitchen is concerning, but I think you'll be fine, Jim. You've got a nice garage that you didn't lock the window to, and you're fully dressed aside from a pair of shoes. Jim, you spawned in your house. Where the fuck are your shoes? We've got a screwdriver and 2 empty gas cans, and a pair of shoes just came into my yard. Now that Jim can remove glass from windows, he's pretty much unstoppable. Especially with this fence line here. Jim is a firm believer in castle doctrine, especially when it comes to unarmed neighbor kids walking on his grass. Or touching his fence. And now, after some very gentle, delicate stabbing, Jim has obtained his neighbor's house. That's how it works. If you can defeat your neighbor in singular combat, you get his home. Now, Jim can watch their TV, stomp on their faces, and rub their towels on his sweaty, unwashed body. And he can use your sheets to cover the window of his backyard. There you go, Jim. Perfectly concealed. Now, living as a NEET has ravaged Jim's body in many ways, but that's not gonna keep him from living the lifestyle that he's chosen, and I gotta respect that. He's putting the TV up in his bedroom so he doesn't have to get out of bed when he wants to watch anime. The American dream. And after some light redecorating, Jim only had one chore left for the day. In Project Zomboid, exercising to raise your strength from level 0 can be pretty rough, especially if your fitness is also 0. But thanks to Ambiguous Amphibian, I've learned the forbidden technique of sweet gains. All you have to do is get as winded as you can, then lure a zombie somewhere safe. Then knock him down and stomp on his ankles until he dies and stuff him into your shelves. Just rinse and repeat this process and eventually you'll become a muscular god, a lord of gains, a baron of sweet biceps. This is a great way to level your strength, fitness, and your sprinting. Look how active Mr. Oldman's being. Who says senior citizens can't be active and productive? Rise and shine, Jim. We've got a big day ahead of us full of murder and adventure. Start your morning right by eating the one and only piece of food in your entire house, Jim. The sweet, delicious taste of canned chili should hopefully help you forget that you're absolutely fiending for a smoke right now. And if that doesn't work, maybe watching people cook will help you not be hungry. Absorb the food particles through the TV screen, Jim. Do it. Hey look, Jim's old varsity jacket still fits. That doesn't mean he's getting back in shape, that just means he peaked in high school and he's been a sad, fat loser ever since. Ah, fuck, I'm Jim in 30 years. The people of Knox County need to invest in better home security. This country's gone to shit. Obese seniors will slip into your house and steal your ham. Then they'll take your sheets and your lentils. And if that wasn't bad enough, then they'll tap dance on your neighbors and take your crescent wrench. Those VA budget cuts hit Jim hard, and he's gotta find a way to make it on these streets. And he will use your home as a supply point if he's gotta. Jim ransacked another home. Only thing we really found on the ground floor was an eraser. And Jim already has plenty of food, so that's not very helpful. He did, however, find another shotgun, which I don't need. And he found shotgun shells, which I do need. And a sewing needle, and some thread. Here you go, Jim. Put away your hard-earned loot, then get upstairs and get in front of the TV. It's time to learn how to handle wood. Hard, splintery wood. Then, Jim will know how to make furniture. I guess. The HOA heard Jim had the power to redecorate and decided this man must be stopped. Understandable. I picked a bad time to be a sad, out-of-shape loser. There's something hilarious and sad about watching Jim try to fight off a group of 3 zombies while on the verge of collapsing. Luckily, Jim's got him right where he wants him. This fight's practically over. Jesus Christ, Jim. Finally, now that night is here, it's time for Jim to catch a bit of TV, and most importantly, some rest. You've done well today, Jim, but the road ahead of you is long and full of disappointment. Your skills are still abysmal, and you're a sad, vacant shell of a person masquerading as a man. You have all these bars, and I only understand what, 2 of them do. You live in a house full of stolen belongings, and you're wearing skinny jeans. It's time to rest and collect yourself, Jim. While Jim gets some sleep, I think it's a good time to end the video. I hope you all enjoyed this one so far. It's good to get back to Zomboid and check in on how Jim is doing. Maybe he'll make it to average. Maybe. It's possible. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. A huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon. For every Patreon backer we get, I'll give Jim 1 compliment. But only if he's earned it. I'll see you all next time.